Hello and welcome to the Geek Embassy Watches Star Trek Discovery. I'm your host, Regina McMenemy, and I'm here with Dante and Isabella. And
Hi.
we are going to discuss our mid-season finale.
Everything happened.
Everything happened. Everything happened.
Yeah.
So before we launch into our discussion, since we're going to be posting this a little earlier than we usually do, spoilers abound. So we're going to spoil season 9 of Star Trek Discovery, which is titled Into the Forest? Into the Forest I Go.
Okay.
The title of this episode.
A medium-length title.
Yes, a medium-length title in English.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
So we're good with this so far. Yeah, so this is the mid-season finale, aired on November 12th on CBS All Access. And the show will come back on January 7th. So the end of the first week of the new year, it will return on Sunday nights. So let's just jump in with like initial impressions, like not even like plot points at this point, but just what did you guys think of this as an episode of this show?
Kind of the same.
Kind of the same. Yeah, I felt like so much came together, and I was surprised. And I don't want to like make myself sound like I'm all-knowing person or anything, but I usually guess plot twists. I did not get it. I like the only thing I got when we talked last week about what we thought was coming was that something was going to happen to Stamets. Like that was the only thing that I nailed. But I thought he was going to die when they needed to get out of a battle. Like they needed to get out in a way. I thought he was going to die at that moment. I didn't have any idea it was going to go the direction it went. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty impressed with that. I love this storytelling that sets me on the I didn't get it.
I mean, yeah. I think we all kind of guessed like something has to happen to Stamets at this point.
Yeah,
like they've been building up,
foreshadowing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, I mean he's our little human tardigrade. So, you know, and I feel like it's just the MO of modern science fiction is that we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Is that
exactly?
Is that if we want to have nice things, we can't have them because we're all leaves on the wind. Watch how I.
Yeah, well, I actually made a Joss reference as the camera. Well, we're jumping around on the plot line, but the camera zooms back on Ash and Michael kissing, and you see him through the window, and it zooms out, and I'm like, oh no, it's a happy couple. Oh god.
Yep, it's a happy couple.
And I looked at Chris and I was like, well, it's not directed by Joss, but
but if it were, she would probably get eviscerated.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
all right, so
do we want to jump into the plot? Yes,
let's go. Let's see if we can try to kind of keep through what sort of happens in order here.
Okay.
So where do we start?
Well, it picks up. I think it picks up pretty much right where we left off, where the Klingons are coming in. You guys are coming into. They detected the warp signature. They're coming into Pavo. I think. Yeah, Pavo was the name of the planet.
Yep.
Was the name of the planet, and Lorca has just received orders from a Starfleet admiral, the Vulcan Starfleet admiral. I forget. I don't know if he has a name yet. And his orders are to retreat to Space Station 46. Okay,
yeah.
I was 46. really tempted to say 42.
Yeah.
So Space Station 46 to regroup with Starfleet, and basically let the Pavans be at their own devices. All right. Yeah. It is no longer a Starfleet concern.
Yeah. And they just it's Admiral Terrell.
Okay.
I just looked it up on IMDb. I do not remember names quite that well. So he tells them, in no uncertain terms will you put the Discovery, our greatest asset, at risk for these people. And then of course Lorca's.
Yeah, he does the Lorca thing. But like I said in my notes, I'm very excited that he is now at least trying to be subtle about it
Yes.
because he got in trouble with Cornwall.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so he says, well, we need to at least make it look like, he's like, well, is it, somebody asked him, why aren't we going to jump? And he says, well, we're going to make it look like we're leaving, but I have no intention of actually getting there. So we have 3 hours to come up with a solution.
Yeah, exactly. He puts them into warp 5, and he goes ahead and talks to Stamets, and he's just like, yeah, so you need to go ahead and make up some engineering thing. It's like I'm sure that the spore drive is like totally malfunctioning, and maybe you're feeling really sick,
Yes, but then he insists that he goes and has a medical diagnosis.
This has a medical diagnosis to, which is a very smart move, leave a paper trail.
Yes, to show that it was smart. He was very smart about how he was sort of doing these manipulations of the system. And so he sends him out there, and of course Stamets is like,
no, this is literally what I just talked about last episode. I don't want to put my partner in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then guess what? His brain is fried.
Yes. Then we find out.
Yeah, we find out that
what did they say exactly, Isabella? Do you remember?
It was something about the amount of white matter in his brain, I think.
Yeah.
Which has
been making like strange paths or something, which was messing up with his temporal lobe or something like that. I don't know. It was a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
But
Science reasons. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it was a lot of there was some
basically it was like exactly what we suspected, that it's completely rewiring his brain and changing who he is.
Yeah, I kind of had this image in my head of like, because you know how they show the different pathways and whatever network that he's tapped into.
The mycelium network.
Yes, the mycelium network. So I feel like the mycelium network is mapping itself on his brain now, and that's the resulting in whatever this white matter is that he's talking about. Yeah. So he says, and the captain asked him point blank, "Are you experiencing any side effects?" And
he's like, "No, everything's fine.
Yeah,
everything's fine. Everything's great. What could possibly go wrong?"
Right. Exactly. Like, well, you don't admit to your partner and your doctor that you're actually having, side effects, and you're experiencing side effects. He just says, no, I'm fine.
No, of course.
I'm just wondering if they have one other doctor that could possibly take care of it.
Right. Like, it actually is like a conflict of interest. Right. To like operate on family members.
Yeah.
Just like in general.
Now, oh my god, that is completely like ruined the entire show for me now. Like, he's the only doctor on this ship, isn't he?
He must be. I mean, and
looks
there must
like
be...
I haven't seen one other medical personnel. Like,
okay.
They wear white.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed anybody.
Okay. All right. Star Trek purist. How many doctors have there been on other ships?
On Enterprise, there were multiple doctors. On the original series, on Enterprise, in Next Generation, there were multiple doctors.
Okay, yeah, it was just like Beverly Crusher was just
Beverly was the head.
Was the one that we saw all the time.
Yeah, and she was actually titled that, like she was
like head of medicine or whatever it was called.
Yeah, whatever the title was. She actually had that title, so she was the head of the department, which is why she had her own little fancy office and stuff. But Bones was the only one on the original series. There was a nursing staff, but there was no other doctor.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the only one that I remember was that the Bones in the Abrams movies. He was one of many.
Yeah,
one of many, because when they first had that attack that took out a whole bunch of Dex, Bones just like everybody's dead, and the chief medical officer is gone, and then Spock was just like, well, you've just inherited his position, which implies that there were multiple doctors on those ships.
Yeah. That would be would have been Beverly's title, Chief Medical Officer, I think. And I'm trying to remember in Enterprise if there were other doctors or just the one.
Yeah, I mean, in Voyager, Voyager just had the Holo Doctor.
Right.
But that, I mean, I feel like that is like, I feel like that counts as multiple doctors because it's a hologram. The computer can just go ahead and make more holograms.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, talk about a sideline. But yes,
Anyway,
I have thought that several times though about him as his doctor, having a conflict of interest for that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he lies, and then Lorca comes up with the cockamamie plan because, of course, Star Trek. So we have to have some crazy plan.
Yeah. And Regina, what is the plan?
They're going to transport someone onto the Klingon ship. They're going to put some sensors down, and then the sensors are going to help them read the cloaking device. But they have to jump 133 times. They have to use the
spore drive.
The spore drive to jump 133 times. So Stamets has to live through 133 jumps in quick succession, not long jumps, but quick ones kind of around the ship.
Yeah.
That will somehow allow them to measure the cloaking device. I'm still not sure I understand exactly how that was.
I don't understand this at all.
Yeah.
Also, because they used the spore drive before without a guide for short distance jumps. So I still don't understand why they needed to use Stamets.
You're right. Like
to plot those.
Yeah, that was the whole thing at the beginning was they only needed the tardigrade to make long jumps.
Yep. And
right, because things would go wrong when they tried to do those.
Yeah, and I think that they have even said something about like even in the short distance jumps, the accuracy was left something to be desired. You couldn't really figure out where they were landing. You couldn't really figure out where you were landing. Like we just you had to do it in a whole bunch of unoccupied space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sense, but
yeah,
I don't understand their whole thing. Why did they need to jump around like that?
Yeah, why? I don't know. Some sort of triangulation.
Because I thought they had to make the ship cloak and uncloak itself to get those readings. Go around it a bunch of times.
I mean, yeah, and there's the thing. This is like, did you really have to jump? Couldn't you have just flown around the damn thing?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why did you have to jump around if all you needed was to get readings from different sides of the ship?
Yeah, you had to get out your seat and jump around. Jump up, and get down.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
That's right. I went there. Sorry.
That's not disco. That's not disco. That's not allowed.
No, that's early '90s hip hop. Is what that is.
No, we know that. Disco is the show.
No, I know.
70s.
Yeah.
Only disco.
Only disco.
Forever disco.
All the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think it's
really none of us understand their weird mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I think I even put it down. I put it down in my notes, not really sure why they had to jump in order to data mine the cloak, and I think I just wrote down because reasons. Because it had to happen.
Yeah, it was something about frequencies, but I didn't really understand
I mean they threw out stuff like algorithms and jumps and
there were two different things that were going on because then if they were going to do all these jumps, then why did they have to have the sensors on the ship to do it? They just needed to get the ship to uncloak.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
None of it makes any sense.
It makes literally no sense. You put Stamets in unnecessary danger. So yeah.
But he had Lorca had that whole plan of, we can see so much more of the universe and of this network from each jump.
Right, which I was like,
which he used as a whole manipulation of Stamets at that point.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, he's a sociopath.
He was literally starry-eyed in that scene where he was like, "Oh, we can discover so much."
Yeah, literally and figuratively starry-eyed. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. It was
Yeah.
impressive.
And then that was the moment I was like, something is gonna happen.
So yeah,
I
like
know.
that's the thing is like Lorca is a bad man and
Yeah.
a terrible captain.
Oh, I was down with that 4 episodes ago, but I was
It's
also
just,
seeing him in much darker light.
it's just like what kind of military captain willingly goes ahead and says to one of his people, like, no, like, you need to be the sacrificial lamb. Like,
Yeah.
I need you to be this sacrificial lamb for us so that everybody else can go. Like, no, that's not what any single commanding officer would do.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, granted, I'm talking as if I like know anything about science fiction military academies or any real military organizations. I've never served, so I
Right.
apologize to any of our viewers who have actually
Just to
served.
clarify to everyone. Well, but I mean, we study the fiction, so in terms of what we know in terms of tropes and understand the way we tell stories,
Yeah.
we have that knowledge. As
Mhm.
we don't necessarily have firsthand war experience.
Sure.
But he is definitely making outrageous decisions.
Yeah.
Because he could have waited.
He could have waited.
I mean, if they had made the dumb sensors smaller.
Right.
Yeah. That was my other thing that really annoyed me about this episode. Like, for a covert mission, like, these sensors are really bright and really loud.
And the second one that she places like on the bridge is placed in this
It's
perfect,
literally like in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, it's like in the middle of this like perfect like spiral pattern that's exactly the same size as the thing that she's putting on it. And I was like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Could have made this round little thing that you just stick on something and then you can leave. You
I mean,
don't
they're
have to
wearing
stick
these little
around and hope
sensors.
that people don't notice you.
Right.
Yeah.
I really did appreciate that they went through the time to explain that they had made sensors to cloak them so that they look like Klingon. So they didn't read as humans on the ship,
Look like just like they don't read as like human, I guess.
Yeah, so they're just like their signatures or whatever on the sensors wouldn't read as human. They would read as Klingon. So I appreciated that they did that. But those sensors were, like two, with like
A hockey
3
puck.
inches
Looked like a
wide.
hockey
Yeah, like a hockey puck that they wore on their chest.
Yeah.
And it's like that whole sensor can change your entire like physical body output. Why are we having these like
Why are we having like this?
All it
time
needs to do is
capsule?
read like this little signature thing.
right? Like why does it have to and it has legs that pop out and
I don't know. I mean, here's my thing. Like, Tony Stark managed to go ahead and hack into all of the Shield computers with a tiny little like robot like that big in Avengers #1. All right. If Tony Stark could do that in 2000 something, I refuse to believe that Star Trek can't do something similar like that without like a gargantuan like I don't know, artillery shell.
Right.
It
Not that we're suggesting that there's any sort of connection between the Star Trek universe and the Marvel universe.
You know what that reminded me of?
They are it.
What did it remind you
It kind of looks like the turrets in Portal. Have either of you played Portal?
Yeah.
I have
the
played
little
Portal.
turrets that like pop up and like shoot at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're on the little legs and then there's like a blinking light. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Like just large and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was it was a ridiculous plan. But anyways.
But anyway. So but of course it works in the end, but we'll get there. But yeah, so Lorca doesn't want to send
because
what?
Only because Burnham does something incredibly risque once again.
Of course she does, because that's who she is.
Because why wouldn't she?
As much as she has all of this Vulcan logic. She makes some of the most irrational, emotion-based decisions I've ever seen of a character, which I love her for. Like
It's hilarious.
I love it.
She pretty much goes, "Fight me, bro."
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit, just in case folks haven't. Let's
not jump quite that far. So the first thing that happens is that Lorca doesn't want to send her.
Yeah, because of course, they have to send a raiding party of 2 to go ahead and plant these sensors.
Right.
He's of course going to go ahead and send his boy Ash Tyler, because
Right.
why? Because why would you go ahead and not send your chief of security when you have possibly an impending Klingon attack? Why wouldn't you just go ahead and send the one person who's capable of defending your ship to the other ship, to the
Yeah.
enemy's ship?
Also, the one that's been it's like PTSD. Well, it's not for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
at that
that's
point is undisclosed. And, well, I mean, it should have been assumed because he was a prisoner for 7 months. So, regardless of what kind of shape he's in now, it
Yeah.
should have been assumed that he was suffering from a fair amount of PTSD. But,
And that was something that Admiral Cornwall went ahead and warned him against a
Yes.
couple of episodes ago,
yeah.
specifically. And
Yeah.
spoiler alert, it happens.
Yeah, and it's an interesting blind spot for Lorca to have been so worried about Michael being compromised, or them, if they found out it was her, and the significance of who she was, getting her in trouble, and just turns a complete blind eye to the fact that he is actually sending a prisoner of war back into the prisoners.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the woman, that had taken him was on the ship. Like, he didn't know that necessarily, but
Yeah, but why would you do that?
There, yeah, just being there, like, that was definitely a bigger,
Yeah.
well, maybe not a bigger, but at least an equal risk to sending
Sure.
Michael Burnham there. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and
blind eye.
what I loved about the writing is that it perfectly illustrated every single problem that I had with him forbidding her to go there. I was like, why? Like, first of all, like, why wouldn't you send her? She, she's got the most experience directly with the Klingons. He has not been exactly like stingy about giving her risky assignments, or
Right.
stingy about giving her a position to fulfill on the ship. And he, as far as he knows, like, there's nothing between her and Ash at this point. So, like, why wouldn't, like, she makes
Right.
the most sense.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to think, like, who else would he have sent?
Right. Yeah, that calls into question too. Well, he was telling Ash to pick somebody else.
Mhm.
And really appreciated. I think she's come a long way. I feel like, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Who, Tilly?
No, Sonequa Martin Green, the actress who
yes.
plays Michael Burnham. She really has come a long way in her portrayal of her. Because remember, we were talking about in the first episodes of her flat affectation and all that, and I think I really feel like she's done a great job. Because I was thinking she was doing a pretty decent job then of being the kind of character who was trying to hide her feelings because she was supposed to be Vulcan trained. And that she has really broken through all of those kind of emotional walls, and she's done a great job of being able to portray that, where you can still see, like, the inner turmoil that she goes through when she starts expressing her feelings. Because when she laid out to Lorca, she was just like, I don't know, it was a good scene.
No, it really was. She's starting to, like you said, she's starting to really go ahead and bridge that gap between being this stone cold Vulcan person and actually, and it looks like, like you said, like, she's actually struggling to come to grips with the fact that she is a human, and sometimes she has emotions.
Yes, yeah, she's going to make impetuous decisions based on her emotional state instead of logic all the time. So
exactly. I mean, and I think I think a lot of that is still deriving from the fact that she had a very traumatic experience the last time that she made a purely emotional decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back in episode 1.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Like, there's definitely fallout from it all around. So anyway, they convince Lorca. Lorca sends them. They transport them onto the ship of the dead, which we remember from the pilot.
Yeah.
That was manned by
Takufma and the Torchbearer.
And the Torchbearer, right. And has been taken over by the guy with the red stuff on his face.
Cole.
Cole.
Cole, yes.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it worked. Like that was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that that the first half of the season began and ended in the same place. I thought that was a very good artistic choice, because I was originally thinking to myself like, okay, cool, we're gonna go ahead and see Klingons and Starfleet basically either battle it out with each other in the skies over Pavo, or like actually on the ground
Mhm.
and destroy the Pavins in their conflict. And
Right, and that's what I really wasn't excited about. I'm like, great, you have to spend more time here.
more time with
the
Klingons. But yeah, like I enjoyed that it came full circle, and it gave Burnham a chance to face her demons, and gave Tyler a chance to face his demons as well, both literal and metaphorical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely the nice, and at the same time. Okay, so Ash and Michael get transported. They once they're on board recognize that there's a human life sign. So they've discovered that it's Admiral Cornwall, and then attempt to. She's paralyzed. She can't feel her legs, and so this is when Ash has his PTSD flashbacks because he sees Laurel.
Yep, exactly. Because she's in there. Previous viewers will remember from the previous episode that she was like arrested by Cole and thrown in the same like brig, I think.
Yeah, I thought that it had been like her ship, but I'm guessing that just all of her people had been brought in there and slaughtered, because there's literally a bunch of dead Klingon bodies laying on the ground, and she's the only living Klingon in there. And of course, she's the only living. Go ahead.
I thought that one of the dead bodies at first was her. I think there were several Klingons that were dressed in white like she was. Which I noticed.
I think it was her crew, because when she gets put in there, she's saying all their names over their bodies. Originally. And so so she's in there with them. She's the only living one left, and of course she's the one who has tortured and abused Ash, and he just freezes.
He basically goes into shock, and Burnham has to save him by firing a stun bolt at the Klingon, or at Laurel, and she goes down for an indeterminate amount of time, which is great. And meanwhile, Tyler is just kind of sitting there in a corner, just like blubbering to himself.
And sweating. Wow.
Effective. Yeah, exactly. Like effectively useless. And thankfully, like he has Cornwall there to help him, and she's apparently like trained by the grace of God himself. Trained for PTSD.
Yeah, so she's able to kind of talk to him, and eventually, Michael goes on to continue the mission on her own. And go to the bridge, which is where I guess the second sensor needed to be placed. And she sits there with her. I loved the acknowledgement of the universal translator, that she actually had to open her tricorder.
She opened her tricorder.
Or no, her communicator, not her tricorder. Her communicator. The tricorder is the little square one, but the little one that pops open like an old-fashioned flip phone, It's a communicator, so she has the communicator open so she can understand them. And thankfully, we get to hear them in speaking English.
Thank
finally,
Lord.
I was like, why do we understand them all of a sudden? And then she comes out and she starts talking to him and says, "Oh, this is a universal translator. It demonstrates our engagement with you, because we want to actually communicate and talk to you."
Our commitment to peace, our commitment to partnership.
It was good.
No, that was great. Like I was sitting there just like, oh, well, that's pretty awesome. Like it's no TARDIS, but it does the job.
It's no TARDIS.
I mean, the TARDIS has a universal translator built into it. As long, it doesn't really matter.
That's an excuse for why everyone speaks English.
I see.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far away the Doctor walks from the TARDIS either. It just works for everyone.
Does its thing. Yes. Well, So I loved that they actually like acknowledged that because
Yeah.
it was a really nice kind of like connection to the
Mhm.
original series, and the use of the same kind of technology was awesome too.
Sure.
So yeah, so she just puts it down and she starts once they figure out it's taking them time to do all the jumps.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what it is that inspires her to go and talk to them. I can't remember what the conflict was.
I think it was because they were going to fire on Discovery or something like that. They were going to fire on Discovery, or they were going to make landfall on the planet or something like that.
Something was happening that she wanted to delay.
Or I think they were gonna run. Weren't they gonna run away? They weren't gonna run away.
That's what I think it was. They were going to do something that was going to take them out of, and they weren't going to be able to finish the jumps. And she wanted to delay them from leaving.
Yeah, and she had to really think on her feet and distract them from doing whatever they were doing.
Yeah. So then she goes up and she's talking to him, and he wants to Cole wants to throw her in the brig, and instead she challenges him to a fight, and then they fight, and it's awesome.
Yeah, by invoking honor, by invoking the one thing that the Klingons, pardon the pun, love to cling to, is that they are an honorable people. I'm sorry, Izzy. I feel like I just broke you.
I will never unseparate that. I will just now see Klingon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying no.
Yeah.
Sounds like the ruining thing.
There's Klingons on the starboard hull. Scrape them off.
Yeah. Oh God. So anyway, so she challenges him by honor.
Single combat. Yep.
Yes, to hand-to-hand combat. He throws her a knife, and they fight, and she's scrappy, and she's awesome, and it was realistic, and it was cool.
No, yeah, it was.
I kind of love her.
And to the Klingons' credit, like, they are very honorable people. It was a fair fight. She was outnumbered 10-1 on that bridge, and anybody could have gone WWE style and like taken a metal chair to her back of her head or something like that. But it was entirely just those two. It was wonderful to see.
Yeah, they didn't jump her. They didn't try to sabotage her. They weren't even like yelling or trying to like. I mean, even people do that in baseball when people are playing baseball, and they weren't even doing anything like that, to distract them or anything. Like, they just let them fight, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, he's got Giorgio's badge. Her insignia.
Communicator. Probably not a functional communicator anymore.
No, not in that. That wasn't. They didn't have these as communicators until next generation.
I'm sorry, purists.
Sorry.
Okay,
these were just insignias back then. They literally and in the original series, they were sewn on. They didn't have actual like buttons. But yeah, so it was a metal insignia that had her name on the back of it, and like taunting her with how he picks his teeth with it, and this being horrible person. So anyway, so she grabs that from him and then literally jumps over the edge of the bridge.
Yeah, as the communicator is yelling at her, like, we're ready to go ahead and beam, and she's got to go ahead and take, and you've got to pick up a couple other bodies, wherever Tyler is.
Yeah. Yep. And so she beams out like mid jump. And as Tyler is being transported out, Laurel jumps on his back, and so they get the Klingon along with the Admiral and Ash. So. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I just like go back just 5 seconds, because her jumping over the bridge and like to her certain death and then getting beamed out was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
I literally yelled, "Oh my God, she is so badass!"
I
screamed.
It was absolutely incredible.
It was just like one of my favorite TV moments of like all time. I just couldn't. It was just so perfectly timed. Of course, I did want to see her kind of land on her ass when she got in the transporter.
because law of conservation of momentum, right?
Right. Like, she should have still been moving when she got transported.
Yeah,
I don't need to be that nitpicky. But I did think like, oh, should we hear her go thump as she gets transported?
Yeah,
but the same thing was going to happen. I wanted to.
Cool.
The thump.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
I just wanted to hear like crash onto it.
yeah, her be
So-
like, ow.
Yeah, that would have been great. Gets a nice shiner on her hip or something like that.
Right, exactly. Just like she would look after she'd done derby, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So the amazing thing about this moment is this is only halfway through this episode. Like all this happened in 20 minutes.
In 20-something minutes, and she's not the only one who got into a fight on that Klingon ship, because Tyler eventually gets talked out of his PTSD shock episode.
Right.
Right? Because Cornwall is sitting there, trying to go ahead and fend off an army of or a small raiding party of Klingons by herself without her legs, and she's trying to go ahead and get Tyler to move to do something, otherwise they're both going to die. And I was very interested to see what your two's reactions was about his impetus to get himself out of shock.
That he saw them kissing.
He remembered them kissing for the first time when they just established not 2 episodes ago that neither of them remember their first kiss.
Because technically they didn't experience that.
But it wasn't the kiss from the party. It was the kiss from the planet.
It looks like the kiss.
It looked like the kiss from the party.
It did?
I thought he saw some. I saw him. Okay, so I remember that part, but I thought he'd seen the other one too.
I'm thinking.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Was it just
I thought
one
it
of
was.
his? I don't know.
I thought it was just the. I thought it was just
The
the one in
kiss
the
when they're
tent.
like in that hut place.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I thought
Never
it was
mind
just that
then.
one.
I have to let go of my self-righteousness now. As I really thought that he was remembering their first kiss from the time
From
travel
the jump,
episode.
yeah, for the time episode. No, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it was because they kissed in episode 8.
Yeah.
When they were on the planet, they have a moment where Saru is out doing his thing.
Oh, okay.
and going
Sorry, I
crazy.
hated that episode. I've purged it all from my memory.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It was, but it was a slow build up to this episode.
Yeah.
Because had we not had the story unfold in episode 8 the way that it did, it would not have made for such a strong episode here. So it really did do a lot of foundation building, including the kiss. That was necessary to make this episode as good as it was, and to be able to pack, like I said, so much action into the first half of the episode. Because I remember, so that ended, and I was like, okay, so they made all the 133 jumps. Stamets survived it
miraculously.
Like, what is happening? I'm like, what's going to happen for the next 15 minutes in this show? Like, what is like? Okay, so this wasn't the complication, because I thought that's like I said, my guessing would have been that big conflict would have been the end of the episode. They didn't drag out the fighting. They didn't drag out a lot of things. So it was really, even 133 jumps, they didn't drag out, which was cool, because like the storytelling that we saw in the time travel episode, we didn't have to live through every iteration of it over and over again.
Yeah.
So
we occasionally got those flashbacks to Tilly, just 30 something, 60 something, 90, whatever.
The screen doing the counts as they were doing it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Then you hear a scream like 133 jumps. Wow, everything's great.
Yep.
And then they beam back, and then as soon as they've got the algorithm detected, they go ahead and
they blow the ship up.
The hell out of that ship.
Yeah, that was a lovely moment too. And I loved that they had Lorca do the eye drops or the eye injection.
Yes. I
right before, and he walks up because it's going to be bright, so he can stand there and watch the explosion. I was like, how freaking poetic is this?
It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And I thought to myself, like, thank goodness, like the Klingon story arc is over.
No.
I want it to be over.
Well, you can want all you want, but
at least like the Ship of the Dead story arc,
the Ship of the Dead is done. The Ship of the Dead is dead. Yeah,
that's done. The hostile takeover by one Klingon dictator, like that story's done, and they can go back to being the United Klingon Empire instead of just like one person under under Kalesh or wherever they're from.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. So what else happens in the last 15 minutes?
Well, we have our Klingon is on board, and Ash has not gotten completely over his PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
He's still suffering through it, and Michael goes to see him, and they sort of talk about it and
A little bit.
and then he falls asleep next to her,
Mm-hmm.
and then wakes up having fevered dreams.
Yep.
of
Fever
his-
dreams. Yep. Well, and yeah, he goes ahead and describes to Burnham the torture. The torture, and we see all the visions of him getting like buzzsaws to his chest, and like looks like hot pokers, things like that. He specifically does not mention the sexual abuse that was merely implied a couple of episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then
He
they
took a
went
liking
ahead,
to me.
yeah, and
Mhm.
then they went ahead and decided to show me everything about Klingon sex that I never wanted to see. Like, that is literally never something that I ever wanted to see, and now I've seen it, and I can't unsee it, and I want to go ahead and pull an Oedipus Rex on myself because I just can't unsee this.
Yeah, that was the most unnecessary thing. Like,
Mhm.
why?
Yeah, I mean, like, why? I'll tell you why. It's because it's CBS All Access, and they're trying to go ahead and pull,
They're
a
pushing
Game
their
of Thrones.
boundaries. Yeah, they're pushing
Yeah.
their boundaries for sure, which I can appreciate. And
Yeah.
I can appreciate it for the fact that he didn't tell her that, and it's what haunted him when he was sleeping.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
that's what he
pretty much
sees.
implied.
He implied it, yes.
He implied it to Lorca and to Mud. He never talked about it to Michael.
Well, didn't he say something along the lines of like, I had to play for her affection, like I had to, because she took a liking to me and all that.
I mean,
Didn't
She
she?
said I had to play along. Did he say something like I had to play
I think-
along?
Yeah.
He said he had to play along or something like that, because the more that he protested, the worse it got,
Yeah.
and the more that he went along with it, like it made the torture easier, which ultimately, I guess, led to her sexually assaulting him over and over and over again. Ugh,
Right.
ugh. Sorry.
It was hard. It was not an easy scene, and it was surprising. I did have the same thought where I was like, okay, this is all access, so they're pushing the boundaries of what they can show because it's not on broadcast TV.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's a storyline that we would never have seen were this on network television.
Like something this graphic and this I appreciated, from what I know of PTSD, I appreciated their treatment of it.
Yeah.
In the way that they treated the character and the story and the effect that it had. I thought it was really good.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that we may have seen him say that he had PTSD or something like that. I don't think that we would have gotten this level.
No, I don't think we would have seen it.
I think I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. Yes,
like,
exactly. And I think it's good storytelling. I think that like I said, they did a good treatment of his character, and what I know of from people who have suffered from PTSD, from what I know of their experiences, is very much in line with what I know of it. So then he goes to the cell. He goes to Laurel's cell.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "What did you do to me?"
Yeah.
They have this very strange little interaction.
Yep.
And he says to him, "Don't worry, I will never let them hurt you." And he gets called away to the bridge before he says anything, but she says to him, "Soon."
Okay. So all right, so call me crazy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Call me crazy. I'm going to make a very, very bold prediction.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to make an extremely bold prediction that she has somehow impregnated him with like Klingon eggs or something. Because I'm working on the assumption that of what you have said, that these were originally imagined to be kind of like walking crustaceans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Crustaceans lay eggs,
Yeah.
and it is not, I mean, and it is not entirely unheard of. I know seahorses are not crustaceans, but seahorses do go ahead and carry and carry eggs to term in that reproductive cycle.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying that this is a great prediction. I'm saying it is a bold prediction.
Hmm.
But
That would be interesting.
that is where I feel like this is going. That he has somehow
Huh.
been implanted with
Well,
with Klingon eggs, and he is going to end up giving birth.
that would be interesting. That's not where I was going, but I'll stick with that as a potential bold prediction. Do you have a prediction for this, Isabella?
About what it means?
Yeah, about
What
what she
she
was
meant
trying
by
to say, like, oh, like why is she saying I won't let them hurt you and soon, like what I mean, this is obviously foreshadowing some major thing that's going to happen
Yeah.
in the
I mean,
next half of
yeah.
the season.
I don't think it
And
says.
she really wanted to get back to the Federation. Like she wanted to get back to him. That's what she was saying in the last episode too. So
Yeah.
Right. I don't add any. So I watched this with my roommate, and he was like, "Did she have something with what them ending up in like an alternate whatever?"
Oh, yeah. I don't think she had.
And I'm like, I don't think it's as complicated as that. I think she
Mhm.
was just truly messing with his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Like, the Klingons are gonna come get me, and I won't let them hurt you.
Yeah.
I'll protect you from them.
I feel like I think there's some kind of social conditioning going on, where I think she has planted some sort of covert connection between the two of them that he doesn't understand.
yeah.
That she
Implanted in him.
implanted. Yeah, I was gonna say, but not impregnate, but implanted.
Like a sleeper agent kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's got some sort of social conditioning and some sort of trigger that she's going to be able to push.
And exploit.
And she's going to be able to exploit it. And because I think that's part of the reason why she wanted to defect at that point was because she knew she had him. Because remember, there's that theory going around that he's really the torchbearer. And so I was kind of wondering, like, I could kind of see how people would interpret it that way. But I think it's going to be more that somewhere in that torture was a trigger that she said where she's programmed him so she can flip him to her side at some point. Maybe, and he'll let her go. And because in the preview for the next episode, we see him going back to see her again. So there's definitely some sort of call to be with her.
It's really weird. I had to rewind that scene and watch it a couple of times, mostly because I couldn't understand what she was saying, but also because I didn't really understand what was happening. I didn't understand why he would come back to her and say, "What did you do to me?" And again, like, I'm gonna show my privilege here. I am a straight man. I have never been sexually assaulted before or sexually harassed, but like it feels like it was very clear, like, what happened to him. Like, she sexually assaulted him, she tortured him. So like he's clear. It seemed clear to me that he's not asking about that. Like, there is clearly something that I feel like we the viewers have not seen yet. That's going
to become clear with this.
It irks the heck out of me that we have, like, we've gotten the bits and pieces of what kind of conditions he was living in and how he survived, but we don't really have a full picture of what happened. We've got just these mad splices.
Yeah, well, and that might be how his memory is working with it too.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, I like that. Like, we've basically got an unreliable narrator at this point.
Right. Yes, which is not surprising given the damage that's been done emotionally. But it'll be interesting. It's a very open door. It's a very open door. It's a very unexpected, because so much of what happened, I feel at least, was unexpected.
Yeah.
it's leading to a lot of interesting potential storytelling.
Mhm.
So, of course, we can't have anybody make any logical decisions or do anything with a safe, idea at this point. So Lorca's like, we got to go back to the same starbase 46.
And we're just gonna warp there.
We're just gonna warp there, and
Like
he goes
normal
and talks
human
to,
beings. Yeah.
right? Yeah, like everybody else has been doing. We're gonna just warp, and he goes back to Stamets and tells Stamets, and Stamets is like, no, it's too much of a risk. I want to get this ship home. Let's do one more jump. It's only one more jump, and I'm like, you
Never
son of
one
a
more.
bitches.
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
You did 133, and you're gonna do one more.
Yeah.
Because you just have to roll the dice.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about Lorca is like Lorca, he is the commanding officer on that ship. He very well could have said, "Hey, listen, Stamets, you are not going to go ahead and jump anymore. That is an order. Go back to sickbay."
Mm-hmm.
And and that's all it would have taken. That's all it would have taken, and. Oh God, I just want to punch him in his stupid Lucius Malfoy face. Oh God.
I'm getting Lucius.
Really? Oh God, I see it every time I look at him, but
Can't see it without the hair.
yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like I mean, it irks me to no end. Like this entire episode made me uncomfortable, but one of the things that really set me off was how far he was willing to go to manipulate Stamets.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch someone who has that kind of innocent love of discovery have it twisted to someone else's end quite so efficiently and twice.
Yeah, exactly. Because
everything he's been through, he's like, this is main thing that no one else has, and it still like fascinates him.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
He's still in it, which I can appreciate that, but at the same time it's like, dude, just take the break. Like it's okay.
Yeah,
it's only and it wasn't even like it was like 3 days travel. It was only a handful of hours.
Yeah, it was more than likely a handful of hours.
Yeah, because I think they said something like,
well, if they were going to the same place they were going before, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was 3 hours away.
So that was 3 hours away. So I'm like
you're making a light speed jump. You can go ahead and you're going to make it there for.
I'm totally having Game of Thrones flashbacks when the Doctor and Stamets are standing outside the thing, and he's like, "Oh, as soon as this is done, I'm going to have so much time on my hands. We're going to have so much fun to have together." And I'm like, "Oh, this is the exact same scene where Game of Thrones, where Ned Stark says, "We'll talk about your mother the next time I see you." And as soon as those words are out of his mouth, I'm like, "Oh, he's going to die."
Yeah, of course he is. Because why wouldn't he?
Glad. Spoilers, of course, because this whole episode is spoilers, but Stamets doesn't die. Now, I'm assuming, Dante, because you put in the notes that there was a callback to Rent, that must have been what you're talking about.
That's what I was really excited about. Just when he and the Doctor were having that Ned Starkey conversation, he said, there's a moon there, and and I want to go and take you to this opera house. They're playing a they're playing La Boheme, and I almost literally fell out of my chair, just be like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever!" Because I'm a Rent fanatic, so I absolutely love that play. In case any of you don't know, Rent the musical is based very loosely on a musical by, I think it is Puccini, named La Boheme.
Well, an opera.
That's what I meant. An opera.
Rent is a musical based on an opera.
Rent is a musical based on an opera. That's if I didn't say that, that's what I meant to say, and it was great. That's why I got so excited.
See, I didn't know that Rent was based on La Boheme. I know of Rent, but I didn't know the connection to La Boheme.
Yeah, it is very loosely based on La Boheme.
Okay, so interesting. Well, anyway, so the last jump, of course. Badly. And they Voyagered disco.
Yeah, they Voyagered disco. Like that is pretty much
my line. That there is Voyagered disco.
Yeah, because Stamets just basically collapses in there. It's an incomplete jump. Thank you, Tilly. And they are abandoned in this what looks like some sort of purple nebula looking thing. And even Saru with all of his brains and all of his knowledge, he has no idea where they are. This is uncharted space, uncharted territory, and yeah, like, and if any of you have watched Star Trek Voyager, this is the exact premise from the pilot episode where something happened, they get flung to the far reaches of space, and they have to spend the next 7 seasons trying to get back to Federation space and get back home.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I'm hoping it's not going to be the exact same storyline, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I think is that they did end up in an alternate reality somehow.
That's what I was wondering, because it looked like the place that they landed had a bunch of broken.
Yeah, some sort of
ships?
broken. Yeah, ships.
It was like the remaining of Starbase. It's supposed like they're in the same location they were supposed to be, just in an alternate reality where like the Starbase has been destroyed or something. And that's like the remains of that.
That could be.
Maybe, I don't know. I thought it was the remnants of the ship of the dead, but I mean that makes even less sense than any other theory. But but I mean, either way, like no one knows where they are. Everyone on the ship is flipping out.
Yeah.
And Lorca is just sitting there, just got this wonderful like "what have I done" face.
Yeah.
Because if I had just ordered Stamets to go to sickbay and stay there, then none of this would have happened.
What was he out of sickbay in the first?
Yeah. However,
why did anyone clear him?
The great thing about this development is that it gives us the answers to a lot of things that we have that we've been asking since the beginning, which is if this takes place before the original series and they have the spore drive, why did we never see it in the original series? Here's your answer right there.
Right. Which is part of what I said at the beginning when we first started watching the show. We know the spore drive has to fail because we don't ever see it again.
Yeah.
So something has to happen that takes it to, and it could be that it ended up in a different, a parallel universe, and that's why we never see it again.
Parallel universe, different dimension, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think my prediction was that Lorca was going to have to go ahead and crash another ship, and all of that data was going to be lost. I was wrong. Oh well, but they've gone to another dimension, and I think that's a great development for the show, like for the show in kind of a meta sense, because okay, so you start off with your first half a season inside the original Star Trek universe, and now you have taken yourself, and now that you've satisfied all of the purists like yourself, with all the Easter eggs and all the whatevers, now we can go ahead and
can make new stories.
Right, cool. We're over here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we don't have to be encumbered by this humongous continuity that is Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it's genius. I really think they've just done so much. It's really interesting because I think back about how we all felt at the pilot, movie, the first 2 episodes that came out, and how we were all like, I don't know about this. And it took a long time for us to warm up to the characters, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm freaking sold on this show. Like, let's go.
I am begrudgingly.
That couldn't be more of a cliffhanger.
What was that?
I am begrudgingly sold.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep talking over you, Izzy. I thought you were talking
No,
to me.
you're good. I didn't know who she was talking to.
Okay, Isabella, you go.
Oh, I was saying that ending couldn't have been more of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was just like so. I don't know. It was just beautiful.
It really was. It was beautifully shot. The camera pulling out from the ship, going up to see this nebula wherever they are with all the broken pieces of ship. Like I was like, oh god, what's happening? This is terrible. Why is everything terrible?
So, and you were saying, Dante, that you're begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly enjoying it because I don't want to have to go ahead and give CBS all of my money for one show. I have said like this has to be damn good show for me to continue to pay for CBS All Access for one show. And I hate that I'm wrong, because I thought that it was going to be terrible, but it's not, and I hate myself for it.
Yes, well, I should tell our viewers and our listeners. So when we were planning this, and I was talking about, that we were all going to have to absorb the cost, because if you don't know, the Geek Embassy doesn't make any money. It only costs money.
What? You mean that paycheck that you told me you were going to write me is never coming?
That one check. So we were all going to have to absorb the cost of, getting our individual subscriptions to CBS All Access. So as we were discussing doing this, Dante was like, well, let's go through the first half. And then if we don't like it at that point, we can drop it. And I'm like, oh, that's good. That seems reasonable enough to me. We can see where it goes. And now it's like, ooh, all in.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But I watch one other show on CBS, so I don't feel too bad about it, I guess.
Yeah, this is literally the only show I care about.
But if you want to watch a good family drama, go back and watch Life in Pieces.
I mean, maybe. And like, I have CBS All Access now, so.
Right. Yeah. So you have the access to it. Anyway, so I think, I think we have a lot of potential, like you said, Dante, for stepping out of the canon, stepping out of the established universe. We have lots of potential for it. I think that's going to be really great. I'm really fascinated to see what's happening with Laurel and Tyler, because wow, it's just, I mean, and to have spent so much time establishing how terrible the torture was, that payoff is going to be fantastic. So, or it will hugely disappoint. But I have a feeling if the storytelling has amped up to be so good at this point, I really do think it's just going to progress forward. And Isabella's smiling as I'm saying this. I'm wondering what she's thinking. Nope.
Wait, I think she might be frozen.
Ah, damn it.
That makes me sad.
That makes me sad too.
So I'm really worried about the Stamets storyline. That's what's really coming to me. They're drawing me back in for the second half of the season. Because have you ever seen Dollhouse by Joss Whedon?
Of course I have.
Because in the preview, I don't want to assume Dollhouse is it's one of it's pretty unilaterally considered like his least good show, right?
I guess.
I mean, so, it's always Firefly, Buffy, Angel, and then Dollhouse is kind of over there. But they show in the previews for the episodes where they've got Stamets and he's gone all milky eyed and no sclera or anything like that, and he's throwing people across rooms and beating up everybody. And he's going full alpha on this. Yeah, he's going absolutely full alpha on this.
Well, and interestingly enough, there's an episode of the original series where two characters, it was one of the very first ones, and two characters they come in contact with an alien race that is able to ignite the ESP tendencies in two of the characters, and their eyes turn a milky white, just like
him. Yep.
So it's interesting. So it's it's a nice callback, but I know what you're talking about in terms of alpha and that it'll be interesting. I'm just to see where it goes.
I think I'm also drawing the parallel because both Anthony Rapp and Alan Tudyk are horribly white, pasty white guys with blonde hair and bright blue eyes.
Yeah, the first thing that Chris said when I'm like, oh my God, if he dies, I'm going to scream. And he's like, well, he can die. He looks like Wash. And
yeah, of course.
It's not a good enough reason for a character to die. Just because he looked like another character who died.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to make another bold prediction here. This is even bolder than my other bold prediction. Is that he's got these remapped neural pathways. He is ostensibly at this point not human, as far as I know. He is not human.
Yeah.
He's not human anymore.
Yeah.
It almost seems like he is going to take he's one or two steps away from really transcending the limits of what a human body can do for him. My bold prediction is officially that he is going to start and or join the Q continuum in this universe.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, I'll put that.
Yep. So that is my really stretching for the fences there, but
Yeah,
it's Star
that's
Trek.
It is Star Trek, and that would be, and jumping out of the continuity would allow them to bring the Q into this, which would
Absolutely.
they wouldn't be able to do if they were still in the old continuity. Anyway, Isabella, do you have any predictions or any ideas for what's going to come in the second season? Or the second half of the first season?
I don't know.
Do you like
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Oh, that's okay.
Yes, I like it.
Okay, good.
I'm not much one for predictions, really, unless we're talking about Game of Thrones, in which everyone just dies.
Yeah.
The prediction is dead.
That's all right. So, Regina, what are your bold predictions?
My bold predictions. I'm not really sure. I think I pretty much already said my main one, which is the idea of Ash as some sort of sleeper agent who's been brainwashed on some level by L'Rell, who's going to be triggered to help her at some point. And hopefully the connection with Burnham will be strong enough to counteract it, since it is the kiss, his memory of their kiss, that pulls him out of it.
Yep.
So that's pretty much my big thing is looking at what it is and thinking of, because that calls back to some other Next Generation Star Trek traditions and themes too, with torture. There's the episode where Picard's tortured by the Kardashian.
There are 4 lights.
Yes, that one. The Cardassians. Not the Kardashians. He's not tortured by bad fashion and makeup. But yeah, so that's pretty much my one thing that I'd kind of stake my name on, and seeing what happens with Stamets. I'll be curious. I'm interested to see, like you said in the preview, of him like gaining the super strength, to see what other, I think there's going to be, like I said, I also said that too, where like the connections, the tardigrade is on like the network that the spores are linked into. I think that somehow that network is mapping into his brain. And so there's going to be some connection between that and him. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with all that. I don't think L'Rell had anything to do with the jump going wrong. No, I don't think that was it. I think she just wanted to get back to a Federation ship because she wanted to reconnect with Ash for that reason, that she has whatever connection, whatever power she has with him.
Not because she truly wanted to defect, like she said in the last episode.
I didn't believe she really wanted to defect either. I mean, she had something up her sleeve then, because she said she comes from the House of Lies and Deceit. So we can't believe anything.
I have a prediction.
Okay, go.
I predict Harry Mudd comes back.
I predict Harry Mudd comes back too, because he's in 3 episodes and he's only been in 2.
Oh, sneaky!
Just a little bit.
You can't metagame this.
I can't help myself sometimes.
This is why.
Darn it, Regina!
This is why I unbookmarked IMDb, so that I wouldn't be tempted to just go look at the cast.
Well, I didn't.
She has looked at it every single episode we've recorded.
But I have to. It's the only way we know half the character names is because I'm looking at IMDb. But I will end with this. On IMDb, there is a title and description for the next episode, airing on January 7th. It is called "Despite Yourself."
Despite Yourself?
Yes.
That is an amazing title.
Despite Yourself. And the description is, while in unfamiliar territory, the USS Discovery crew is forced to get creative in their next efforts to survive opposing and unprecedented forces and return home.
Gotcha.
So,
Weird.
And I didn't know that
could be anything
before I had any of my predictions. I don't know. What? What'd you say?
That could be anything.
It could be anything. Absolutely. It does sound a lot like Voyager, though.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and pull up IMDb and see what the tagline for Voyager is, or
Mm.
the overall plot summary.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Let
Yeah.
me see. Star Trek Voyager. This makes for wonderful podcasting, I'm sure.
Listen to us look things up on the internet.
You see here. Pulled to the far side of the galaxy, where the Federation is 75 years away at maximum warp speed, a Starfleet ship must cooperate with Maquis rebels to find a way home. So, slightly.
Returning home, find a way home. I guess we do have that. It definitely is harkening back to sort of that part of Voyager. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think they're going to be stuck forever.
I don't think they're going to be stuck forever. I don't think they're going to be stuck. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. If it is a different time and they're unable to get back to their time or a different universe or something like that, it could be really interesting for storytelling, like you said. Dante, where we can open up and get out of needing to be beholden to the purists out there. Not that there's one here.
Nope, not that there's one at all.
There's totally a purist here.
But yeah, I mean, I really like that they have put themselves potentially in an arena where like it's untouched. We can get completely new aliens, we can get completely new planets, new languages, new everything, and it wouldn't upset the purists over there, because it's happening on another side of the galaxy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and that was I think that was one of my main complaints in the middle part of the season, where when they went and brought Sarek into this whole thing.
Right.
Like, is there only one Vulcan family? Is there only one?
Yeah.
Is there only one? Like one or two planets that are really important in the Federation?
The whole thing. That's the whole reason why we're always talking about these couple. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. I mean, it's like it's like Star Wars, where I'm just like, please show me something else. Like I've seen enough of the Skywalker clan at this point. Right. Give me something different.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for watching and listening. We'd love to hear your predictions or your thoughts on the mid-season finale of Star Trek Discovery. If you're watching, let us know. Send us comments on our Twitter at the Geek Embassy. Catch us on Facebook, or leave a comment on the site, thegeekembassy.com. And until next time, get your disco on.
I still hate everything about that sentence.
We love it so much.